Good afternoon, YouTube. Coming at you, as always, from the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, Philadelphia. My name is Alexei. This is the Dharma, the channel where we learn together how to bring sacred plants that have been tested by our finest universities to help us overcome all kinds of afflictions like depression, trauma, addiction, together with the ancient path taught by the Buddha, the Dharma, known as the Dharma. And today I'd like to talk to you about, I'd like to go a little bit deeper than I went in the introductory video to this channel as to why at this time it's important to bring these two paths together. I gave a little synopsis of that in the introductory video, and I'd like to dive a little bit deeper today. Maybe I can start by saying, as I mentioned, I'm a psychotherapist, and as I have practiced in various settings, hospital settings, something that's called partial hospitalization, which is a step down from a hospital setting when somebody has a crisis, as well as community mental health and private practice. It's an interesting kind of job, a job I'm very honored to do, and it allows one to see people's pain from very close up that usually we don't share with one another. And one thing I have seen, one thing I saw in all these different settings, and in considering what we're able to offer to people struggling, is that there are many things that the mental health professions can offer. They're very important, but they're not able to offer a sense of community, a sense of deep belonging, and something the Buddha would call spiritual friendship, kind of walking the path together, learning how to overcome suffering and live in joy together, being there for one another in simple friendship. And another thing we're not able to offer is a profound connection with nature. This connection is incredibly important to us at this time because, of course, as I mentioned in the introductory video, we have to have a connection with nature right here. Just having it here is insufficient. We all know there's a climate crisis. We all know we're hurtling towards the abyss at ever-increasing speeds. But the only way that we can actually transform that is through a deep heart connection, a reconnection with nature that our ancestors had, but we have lost. And a third thing we can't offer in the mental health professions to the full extent that we seem to need this as human beings is mystical experience. And by mystical experience, I mean certain experiences that we may have, sometimes at the Grand Canyon, let's say, sometimes in the woods. For some people, that'll be found in prayer, where we experience a kind of unity with the world. We experience a deep and profound sense of belonging in this world. We experience something bigger than ourselves, and yet within ourselves. This set of experiences has been written about throughout the history of writing and has been passed down in oral tradition before that history. And it is an experience, in fact, these three experiences: belonging in community, profound connection to nature, and mystical experience or relationship with the sacred are essential for us to be well, and they're essential for us to survive. So this is why I feel very powerfully, along with many other people around the world, that we need a tradition that will allow us to have these three things: belonging in a kind, loving, ethical community, spiritual community that speaks to us, deep and profound connection with the natural world that we've become so severed from. We can all feel that. And a sense of the sacred. In fact, right now, with those three things being lost more and more, there is a central axis that all of society moves around. That central axis, if you can imagine the dollar sign and the line running through the middle, that is the central axis of modern society. And in different countries, there are different symbols used for money, but we all know that sign. And as long as that's the central axis of our society, as long as we are all measuring ourselves and our actions in relation to that line, we will simply hurtle and hurtle faster and faster to our destruction. I wish it wasn't so. And so we need a central axis that is at the heart of our societies. And that central axis I'm going to be speaking about a lot throughout these videos. But ultimately, that central axis is the sacred. And we'll speak a lot about what that word means, how it can be reached. Certainly, the Buddhist tradition has incredible power to help us get there. It's a tradition that very much speaks to modern people. And I say this with the deepest respect to the other spiritual traditions. Many of us, however, can no longer understand the mythical language of those ancient traditions, and we're filled with doubt. Of course, at times, religious institutions and authorities have been corrupted greatly, which fills us with further doubt. And often the religious solutions offered to us at present are not speaking to the problems of the present. So I think Buddhism offers a very special door that even folks who are skeptics can walk through. It does not require faith. The Buddha said, "Come and see." It very much welcomes reason. That said, as I said in the introductory video, it is my hope that the mystics of every tradition will form schools that use these sacred plants that have been used since time immemorial and seem to be at the root of the birth of many of these religious paths. Because we need a rapid access to the present, to nature, to the sacred, so that we can have a complete cultural renaissance in every field, with the central axis of our societies becoming nature, sustainability, harmony with the natural world. In order to do that, in order to have the space in our mind to be able to accomplish that, we need to heal our wounds. We've inherited many wounds across the generations. We need to heal these wounds so that our minds can be calm and we can have access to inspiration and to new solutions for how to orient our society, with the central axis being nature, the natural world, the sacred, our ability to protect and love the world around us and our place in it, so that we may pass it down to our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren in the beautiful way that we have received it. So it seems to me that the Buddhist tradition offers incredibly powerful ways to heal. We see meditation being shown scientifically to help us with anxiety, trauma, depression, addiction. And it is a tradition that helps us to connect to our hearts, to love, to forgiveness. And then, of course, the traditions of these sacred plants, ayahuasca, psilocybin mushrooms, mescaline-containing cacti. There are different amazing plants all over the world that our ancestors all over the world have used. These plants teach us very directly. They connect us with a sense of awe very directly. And the two traditions, we could say, if you're in the States, they go together like peanut butter and jelly. They go together like eggs and salt. Because the Buddhist tradition offers incredibly rich maps for how to navigate the realms, the extraordinary realms of vision that we can access when we connect with these sacred plants. Sometimes we call them theogens. The Buddhist tradition offers maps for ethical living. That's very important as a foundation for working with these plants. The plants, in turn, teach us about ethics. They teach us about our place in creation. They teach us how to be mindful. They are extraordinary mindfulness teachers. They are like Zen masters. And so, in studying the Dharma, the Buddhist tradition, we gain maps for navigating the worlds of vision, in taking flight within the worlds of vision on the wings of our plant allies, friends. We gain, sharpen, clarify our tools for being good people, good fathers, mothers, daughters, sons, grandparents, members of our community, citizens of our country and of the world. So these traditions taken together can very powerfully heal us, help us to flourish within our communities, help us redefine and reestablish the central axis that we use to orient ourselves in life. And through that, we can walk a road of a complete cultural renaissance that will enable us to direct our sciences, our engineering, our arts to a harmonious and just society that will not be wiped off the face of the earth, but will instead be a place of joy. If we were not facing extraordinary crisis, I would not dare to suggest any changes or additions to the Buddhist traditions that have been passed down to us, because frankly I revere them and am in awe of their beauty and wisdom. But the Buddha said that his teaching is a finger pointing to the moon, and the two should not be confused. It is the moon that we need to see. He said that his teaching is a raft for crossing the river of suffering, and when one gets to the other shore, the raft can be laid aside. So he told us, he told his disciples, and through them, through their unbroken, beautiful lineage, he told us that we need to look within and find the door to the Dharma, find the door to our heart, find the door to mindfulness, to presence. Of course, if we destroy ourselves, that door will close. All of the 84,000 doors to the Dharma, as it is sometimes poetically said, he opened, or perhaps pointed to, they were always there. They will shut to us. So I think it's time to bring the wisdom traditions of the world together. We can all learn from one another, and we can all find skillful ways to wake up, to fill our hearts with love for humanity, for the animals, for nature, for one another. And we can survive, and we can pass something amazing down the generations. So that is why the Dharmayana, on one hand, is a path that brings together two extraordinarily ancient, well-established, well-tested, tried and true traditions, and on the other hand offers something that has been lost along the way, and why I believe now is the time to make that offering and to rediscover how these tools can work for our benefit and the benefit of all sentient beings in our time and in the generations to come. Thank you all so much, and until next time, be well.